just meant to be a because I don't have a whole bunch of equipment set up for proper video recording. It's just gonna be kind of a live lesson kind of deal. It's really informal, so if I say some stupid crap, don't take it too seriously. I'm just kind of going on the fly here. I feel like I am at the point now where I can, begin to offer some advice to newer players of the game, in particular Ken players. That's gonna be my main focus, and it's going to be kind of geared towards how to play aggressive. Ever since I started playing this game, I always viewed Ken as a rushdown character, and a lot of people, will counter that saying, given Ken's the amount of risk you have to take with playing Ken, that it's better to play Ken in a way like Kempi does it, very more reserved, more patient, and in a lot of ways I agree with that. But I want to kind of gear towards aggression and like when to kind of capitalize on that and go from there. So a lot of people, like being aggressive, you have to realize first off, once you start getting into higher tier gameplay, you start playing stronger players and all that stuff, you have to realize that many people's reactions and expectations, their anticipation of what you're going to do as a Ken player is very aware at that point. So, you hear a lot of people say, have good fundamentals and things of that nature, no frame data and all that stuff. And yes, that stuff is very important, but, I'm a firm believer in playing unorthodox. To me, having played this game for years now, it's definitely something that, given the nature of the game and how scrambly it can become and how frame data in certain situations can almost seem, unimportant, just given the pace of the match, how your opponent is playing and all this stuff. Yes, work on fundamentals, but there's a lot of times where going crazy will benefit you. The only thing is you have to know when to go crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, your opponent, initially speaking, if they're a smart player, there's a lot of stupid players out there that you can just literally run down and they have no idea how to deal with an aggressive play style. And but if they're smart, what they're gonna be doing is paying attention to exactly what you're doing. They're gonna be taking notes in their head as to how to counter that. So let's say you just start off the match and you jump in, which sometimes that's appropriate, but not all the time. It can be really stupid to do that kind of thing. So I'm just taking jump-ins because I know that's something that a lot of new players will try to do, right? The first thing you'll try to do in a match is just jump in. I do that when I've played somebody usually multiple times and I know their habits. Like sometimes if you go back in my replays, for example, you'll see that I play some guild players. And you'll see sometimes I start off the match with EX Tatsu because I know that dude in particular, he likes to do that stupid dash punch like right when he starts the match, and I know EX Tatsu will beat that every time at the start of the match. So I'll just literally EX Tatsu, and if you go back in my replays and you see some of the guild players that I play, you'll see it beats it every time. Or I'll do heavy punch DP to start off the match. Some stupid crap like that, right? Just making a crazy risk. But the thing I'm trying to get at here is that the foreknowledge of what your opponent is doing comes into play, okay? So you have to test their reactions. You have to condition them before you really, sometimes, you could just take the risk and get away with it, which when you're playing Ken, risk is kind of part of the game. You got to know, and the more you learn the matchups, the more you get adept at assess and calculate a risk and how to be aggressive, at the best times, which ultimately this is going to be something that's always going to be very subject to variability depending on your opponent. Sometimes you're going to be playing somebody who's so on point with all their defense that they're going to force you to play a slow game. And that's where you have to be able to adapt to the slow game. Because there's a lot of matches where, again, you look back at my replays, you'll see I start off the match very fast. I start off, bam, doing V-skill runs and all this bullshit, right? And then you'll notice that the opponent starts punishing me and even blows me the hell up, takes a full game, like takes a game without me taking a round off kind of deal. So that's when you have to really assess, okay, you know, I think I'm being too aggressive now. I need to slow down the pace of the match. They got your rhythm. They know how to counter you. So this is where you slow things down and just kind of walk back and forth. And one thing in particular that more people need to realize is you do not even need to press a button to be aggressive. And that's something that when I say press a button, I mean like any like hits. But what I mean is you can literally just move forward and block without pressing a button. And that will put pressure on your opponent. That is aggression, because what you're doing is you're forcing your opponent to think about what it is next that you're going to do. Okay, because let's say you've been playing aggressive the entire time, or you've played somebody multiple times and they've gotten used to an aggressive playstyle, very rush down playstyle that you have with Ken. Okay, they're going to be looking for all kinds of things. But if you just literally do this, micro walk forward, sometimes you're forced to do that, but literally if you just do this and just block, tell me how you feel when somebody is blocking every single damn thing you do. You know, most people will lose their patience pretty fast, and they start thinking, how do I open this guy up? You know, that's going to be the first thing. So this is getting into the mental aspect, so to speak, of, you know, starting to implement an aggressive game plan. Okay, because when you start doing this type of crap and you're like right in their face, you know, some people will automatically start teching, and some people will start pressing buttons, you know, throwing out heavy buttons or pokes, you know, buffers and all that shit once you start getting in that range. But if you're literally just sitting there and you're blocking in their face, like a lot of people don't like that. And then they'll start doing stupid crap like jumping, okay? And that's when you can take advantage of anti-airs and all this stuff. So, you know, setting up, and I know I'm kind of getting, you know, a little, you know, ranty with the stuff, but setting up an aggressive play style is completely dependent on your opponent. That's essentially what I'm trying to get at. So, you know, assessing how your opponent responds to your buttons. Are they aware of spacing, frame data, you know, things like that. You know, just how good of a player they are, you know, because a lot of people try to fit a one-size-fits-all approach, but, you know, you have to really establish that. So, first thing, let's start off by saying, let's say you like doing V-skill run as Ken. Kens love V-skill run. Why? Because it gets you in. You know, sometimes you feel trapped. As a player, you say, oh, I need to get in. You know, this dude's kicking my ass, especially if you're playing somebody like, let's say, Guile, right? And they're just keeping you out, keeping you out, keeping you out. So you want to do, bam, V-skill run, right? So as far as, you know, how you establish that, just to kind of give an example, everything I say you have to realize is very situational, and it's not going to work every time, but it will work sometimes if you condition your opponent correctly. So let's say you're playing Guile, and Ken's stand medium punch is a very good button to establish a run, okay? So you'll see it's +5 on counter hit, and if you hit counter hit and do V-skill run, you're only -1, okay? So that gives your opponent actually very little time to react to the run, and you could potentially use that. So it actually makes it safe. So that's what I'm trying to get at. So a lot of times you'll see me in a match, and even on block, the punch is only -4. So at most, you know, they can get, you know, a light kick buffer into something, which, you know, sometimes will lose you the match. But I'm just trying to give an example of a tool that you can use to enhance your aggression when the time calls for it. Again, this is a game of risk, and that's the game that you play when you're being very aggressive. Well, let's say you establish the fact that you're hitting medium punch, and you're not doing anything after you hit that first medium punch, right? You're not doing anything at all. You're just throwing out the button, you know, just fishing, you know, seeing, hey, can I tag him? Is he actually getting hit by this shit? Am I landing? So that kind of deal. And this button it can be a very good poke. It's one of Ken's better poke buttons alongside with, you know, crouch medium kick. So eventually, let's say you're just playing the footsie game and you get to the point where, hey, I need to make something happen, you know, and you've conditioned your opponent enough so that with other things So you're throwing you're keeping your fireball game up, shit like that. You're just doing things to keep them thinking. That's what I'm trying to get at here. So once you condition them, and let's say you're in a moment where they're focusing maybe on other shit, maybe you've thrown a few jump-ins in there at this point and they've anti-air or some crap, or maybe the pace of the match, you've slowed it down enough to where they're just, you know, trying to guess what you're gonna do next, right? And let's say you've had success landing that medium punch. So when you get to that point, you know, you let it rip, bam, you got the run in, you're inside. And sometimes this will work more than other times, okay? So yeah, it's all a matter of establishing the aggression and knowing when to do it. You know, in lower tier ranks, you can get away with it more often, but in higher tier ranks, you have to establish it, okay? It's very difficult for many people to just do it, because what you'll notice is in higher tier ranks, they're looking for that run, right? Or they're looking for the dash, and they're looking for any movement, which is why I started off the video by saying, you know, just literally walking forward and, you know, making your opponent tense, making them trying to anticipate something, you know, is a good way to just initially establish the aggression game. And yeah, I mean, there's literally so much depth to go into, like when it comes to playing aggressive. And you'll see people, for example, I think one of the best examples of the type of aggressive gameplay that I'm trying to establish with this video is looking at somebody like Chris T, okay? Chris T, in my opinion, is the best Ken player there is, all right? Now, Ken could be a very inconsistent character, unfortunately, but I believe Chris T is the best example of how to play an aggressive Ken, you know, based on knowledge of the matchup and of your opponent. So if you're looking for a prime example of how to play more aggressive and take calculated risk, look to Chris T as an example. He's the best example, I feel, of this. You know, Ceroblast, I think he's a good player, but sometimes I think the risk he takes is just a little bit overkill. So Chris is an example of really establishing that psychological side to open up the aggressive side of playing Ken. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to get at is condition your opponent, you know, and get to the point where you're not being super predictable with your gameplay. Because if you're literally, if every time you throw out a medium punch you're doing V-skill run, you know, the chances are when you're playing a good player, you're gonna get blown the hell up for it. So the other thing is like establishing V-skill runs. There's wrong V-skill run, right? You know, when to do it. I love that button, you know, even on block, I love that button to do it because it's one of the more safe options. So if we were to set Bison to block. See, crouch medium punch is -6. So is back medium punch. -4 stand medium punch. Now, the funny thing is about crouch medium kick is it's also a very valuable V-skill run setup tool. Why? Because a lot of people expect fireball after you do crouch medium kick. That's why. So many people are smart and they realize, hey, you know, the second you see crouch medium kick, you know, it's -4, technically unsafe, but I mean, that's real. So if they press a button, you know, usually if you're spacing it right, they won't be able to do anything with the fireball. So let's say you're establishing that fireball, that crouch medium kick fireball game, right? Bam, you just let it rip randomly, okay? Because you're conditioning them, all right? And that's the thing. Again, we're getting into the same topic of, you know, setting it up. That's the thing you have to realize. Because again, if you just start off, you're doing crouch medium kick, and you just start off and you're running every time after it, that's really stupid. That's gonna get you killed, okay? But if you're going the whole match, and let's say you're at that last round, you know, doing crap like that can work out. Again, But this is very, depending on your opponent, it could be very subject to variability. You're going to take a risk, and you just have to be able to, you know, condition your opponent to give you the best chance to take that risk. Okay, and the other thing is playing aggressively, you know, having good counter poking on defense. You know, something that shit, how do you do fucking Bison's? And I kind of like the fact that I'm not getting a match right now because I want to put this video out there. Where is that damn app? I don't feel like pressing pause. Where's fat? Okay. How is Bison not on there? What the fuck? Oh yeah, and Bison. Back forward kick. What the hell? Okay, I think it's a charge move. Hold up. I'm trying to see, because sometimes, so you saw I got counter hit right there, right? And I'm gonna cancel this one just so I can talk a little bit more before I actually start playing. So you saw that I got counter hit at one point, right? So that right there, that is what I'm talking about. Okay, and I really want to talk about this because I feel like it's a really unorthodox, cool way to make your opponent say, "What the hell was that?" So that's like those are the types of things that I love, right? Because who the hell is expecting you to do that in neutral, right? So this is, I mean, and a lot of people will say that's really stupid, but that is one of those very situational things. For example, if you were to look at my last live stream, okay, the live stream that I just did yesterday, and you'll see I was playing a Bison player, a Diamond Bison player. I hit him with that shit twice in the match that we played, and I blew his ass up. Actually, I think I hit him more times than that. So, as far as establishing, because when you get that on counter hit, and you run up to them, I cannot tell you, I cannot emphasize enough how many people do not expect that. And that kind of goes into, you know, playing aggressive can, like, what can aid your aggression is playing unorthodox, not being predictable, right? So that is one of the highlights that I'm trying to get into, right? So let's see, we got a Rubio. Like I said, every match is going to be different. You're going to be playing some matches where playing aggressive just isn't something that is going to be very viable. So you have to weigh out the risk versus the reward. Like if you're noticing that somebody's reacting to everything that you do, you have to slow down the pace of the match. You see what I mean? Nice.
Round 2. Fight. Final round. Fight.
That fucking button is killer, bro. So you saw, I mean, I was taking definitely a good amount of risk right there. One thing, you know, his spacing, he was blowing me up with that crush counter button. It's fierce. So I was right at the space where I was trying to, you know, establish a V skill run right there, but he was blowing me up with fierce.
Round 1. Fight.
So I can tell him in his head. That's why I'm blocking. That was a whiff punish. Don't get that shit twisted. See, and that's another thing that I'm going to talk about too. That was a whiff punish. That button is good, dude. He didn't fall for it. That was good. That was a good one. Missed that. This is the type of unorthodox bullshit that I'm talking about, okay? See, I know my gameplay, for a lot of people, it can really throw them off because of, you know, the type of shit that I do. And it's very, man, like I want to tell you, it can be so nuanced, you know, to establish this type of gameplay. Sagat is supposed to be a bad matchup. Well, you just saw I just 2-0'd that guy, right? Higher rank than me, all that shit, whatever. Not to say rank is automatically an indication of anything, although I believe it is. You know, to a good degree, establishing your level of gameplay. That dude was a level 63 Sagat, so you know by this point he should have an understanding of that character, unless he's absolutely garbage of how to play the character, you know? So, You'll see that. Let me just start this in the corner. And let me just, I don't feel like having him do anything. Let's talk about Light Kick Tatsu, okay? And this is going to be, again, talking about some unorthodox crap. Like you saw in that match, I used Light Kick Tatsu as a whiff punish. And dude, like, when I say, you know, making your opponent think twice about what you just did, dude, everybody seems to want to play, you know, because all the pro players and all this shit will tell you, oh yeah, you know, established footsies, you know, take very little risk and all this shit. You hear so many people saying that type of thing, right? And, you know, they'll just play with their buttons and, you know, granted, you can make a lot of gameplay styles work, right? I'm just giving you another gameplay style, right? So when you're dealing in a situation like that, with a very slow button that has a big window for, actually let's look up Sagat again. I don't know if that's that crouch. I don't know if it's his crouch heavy punch. I think it is his now I'm pretty sure that is his crouch heavy punch. Sorry, I'm not too familiar with the names. I just kind of see the move and I'm just like, okay, how can I punish that shit, right? So as 18 frames of recovery. What are the frames on fucking Light Kick Tatsu for startup? For Kent's startup? I mean, it's a 3-frame startup move, but obviously when you're at that distance, it doesn't hit on the 3rd frame, right? I don't even know what frame it hits on. All I know, that shit ain't important. Frame data ain't important, right? All I know is that Light Kick Tatsu, you know, has a 3-frame startup, and it's a very quick move, and it's a very easy thing to let rip out. Why is it so easy? Because one of the main things you're doing the entire match is holding down back, and you're on the inputs that you need to hit in order to actually let it rip the entire match. Which is why, you know, I will tell you, use Light Kick Tatsu as a whiff punish tool. I don't give a shit what anybody says. You know, if you don't want to use it, that's fine. You know, we all have freedom to play how we want, right? But, use it as a whiff punish tool. Wow, that grab range is ridiculous.
Round 2. Fight.
Okay, that was good. This dude's betting hella that I'm not gonna like jump in on him again. You bought it back though. Don't ask me why I did that. I don't get desperate, dude. Wow. Okay. Jump. You see that shit, right? I knew he was desperate. I wasn't desperate.
You win.
Can't believe I missed that DP right there. But you'll see, like when I talk, like I want to include the live stream in me telling you about some of the things that I incorporated into my gameplay that at first thought they seem so stupid, right? They seem really stupid, but they work. Okay, good bud. Shut up. Die.
Round 2. Fight.
Fuck, I meant to. My light kick didn't come out. The block sun got me. Good interrupt. I swear I'm blocking, dude. Mixing it up, baby.
You win.
See, this guy, his mistake I feel was that he was so focused, and this is why one of the reasons why I was jumping in so much is that he was so focused on establishing the fireball game that, you know, he neglected the crucial aspect, which is trying to stagger the fireball game and condition me to the fireball game. You know, the second he noticed that he was getting me to jump on the fireballs, I mean, whatever, I just say fireball, it's his projectile, his little stupid slice kick. He should have waited. His lack of patience is what ultimately I feel blew him up in that match. So, but the second, because you'll notice, he didn't, I don't know if he anti-aired me one time that entire set. I don't think he did. You know, I was letting him do his fireball and then just, you know, jumping in, and he had no anti-air. And he wasn't timing his fireball right, so he got completely demolished because of it. And I got, you know, a butt ton of jump-ins. And this is another thing, you know, trying to, if you notice that something of your playstyle is working repetitively and they are not able to deal with what you're doing, then why the hell should you stop doing it? You know, I notice a lot of people getting into conditioning your opponent for the aggressive playstyle. You know, you'll notice I just said, you know, you have to establish it, right? That was one of the examples where there was hardly any establishment really needed. You'll notice he actually did manage to punish my V-skill run attempt, which is fine. You know, sometimes, depending on your life lead, how you feel about the opponent, you know, overall, you know, taking something like that, could ultimately not be a huge deal. Again, depending on who you're playing, that can literally be something that will make or break the match, right? So, but you notice that I did do another tool, and I got this from Chris T, and it works very often because a lot of people expect you to finish a combo, but for the sake of unorthodoxy, mixing it up, making your opponent think twice about what it is you're doing. This is, I feel, let's say in the corner you want to get a cross-up jump in, right? Wait, let me take off block. So back medium punch is -4, but the thing is, given how many people do not expect you to do that, you're really plus on hit. Because of the psychological aspect. Now, but some people, I still run into some people who are very well aware, and they will punish that V-skill run attempt. And I'm at that point, I'm pretty impressed, and I'll usually stop V-skill running, usually, right? But yeah, that's another tool, and this is the thing, like being able to put more tools in your arsenal, because Ken, is a character that you really have to know how to use what you have with this character, okay? And I mean, you can say that for every character, right? But given that Ken in particular is not considered somebody who is top tier, right? In their tools, in their frame data, how plus they are on block, one of the best things Ken has going for him is shit like his overhead, his damage potential, his comeback potential, his corner pressure, those are things that really caters to Ken's gameplay. So, yeah, when it comes to establishing an aggressive playstyle, this is the type of shit that you need to pay attention to. Yeah, so unorthodoxy, being unpredictable, not letting, your opponent get the read on you, which again is just basically saying don't be predictable. So, yeah, man, there's a lot of shit, a lot of tools that you can have at your disposal, okay, to really open up your opponent. Let's say your opponent, for example, is doing nothing but crouch blocking. Dude, Ken's overhead. And again, going back to my live stream yesterday, I was kind of showcasing this again because I don't really like to talk about shit that I haven't tried that doesn't work, So Ken's overhead. I'm talking about his thunder kick, not this one, because he has two over, which that one is still really useful, Like, trust me, you bust out one of these random as hell with neutral when you're at this range, and you hit your opponent, they're gonna be like, oh, you're gonna make them flinch. You're gonna make them flinch, I promise you. But anyways, I cannot tell you how good of a laugh I get from this. Like, a lot of top players you'll see, like for example, going back to Chris T. As much as I love Chris T, I noticed that he hardly ever uses. I think that's called Thunder Kick, right? I think that's the name of it. I don't really care. Anyways, opening up your opponent with that, given that it moves you forward, a lot of people, like one of the reasons I really like doing that is because the startup is so slow that a lot of people feel forced to try to punish it. But given the range that you're doing it from and the time that it actually hits your opponent, a lot of times you will end up hitting counter hit, and as a round ender, I cannot tell you how many times I have ended a match doing this from half screen like this. Like, it makes no sense, but it works. And this is what I'm talking about, man. Like, people get so caught up in trying to do what makes sense in this game, all right? But sometimes what makes sense won't win you the match, okay? Again, subject to variability. And I think above all else, information is going to be king here and really, establishing and keeping that aggressive gameplay. Information about how your opponent responds, reacts, how slow, how fast they play, how good they are with the character. Are they punishing your aggression attempts? Are they letting you get away with it? Because I faced a lot of people, they were super good in a lot of different ways. But once you find that weakness and you expose it, you're just like, oh damn, here we go. I'm about to blow your ass up. So I've played a bunch of people, you know, where let's say they blew my ass up, right, the entire match, and let's say we're on the last round, right, but then I find out you can't react to that shit. You suck at reacting to my V-skill run when I do it with crouch, with medium punch or whatever. You suck at it. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like I remember, for example, one time I was playing this one Laura player, and her anti-air is on point, her neutral punishes, and like her mix-ups and all this shit. You know, the person playing them was super on point with all that shit, and they were kicking my ass, right? But then during the match, I was like, okay, I need to try something, you know, so I tried it. And I noticed they could not react to my V-skill run. No, I was spacing crouch, I was spacing medium punch correctly, right? I was like right here or whatever, and they could not react to V-skill. And then I was like, you're done. And I just kept hitting them with that shit, you know? And then once you hit them a couple times with it, they start getting desperate and they start pressing buttons on wake up, and they're like, okay, now I'm gonna establish my meaty game. You're fucked. So it's like, that's the type of stuff I'm getting at, is, you know, the knowledge of the matchup, the knowledge of your opponent, how they play. You know, for example, if let's say you've let out like 3 V-skill runs and they punish it every time, at that point, you should start thinking, okay, either I'm gonna stop doing V-skill run, or I need to incorporate V-skill run at a very unorthodox moment. For example, like that jumping. Oh, bam. So actually, how much does that get you versus the typical combo? Let's see. Oh, well, you see that lag spurt? Okay, so that gets you 285. 166 plus 140. That's about, that's over 300. That's like 306. So you actually, and that's 200 stun for the back throw. How much stun do you get? Wait, okay, 200 stun. So it's 274 plus 200, so that's 474. Wait. I can't even think. You gotta love it when you're trying to show this shit. You can't even show it. Yeah, so you actually get more stun off of it too. So you can see, like, situations like that, the reward, and you also put them back in the corner. So let's say you get that, like, you weighing risk versus reward, you know? Let's see what we got this time. I don't think I'm gonna make this video too much longer. It's already 43 minutes. I might just hit an hour and call it a day. I just kind of wanted to put this out there, you know, to potentially help some people. I'll go V-skill 2. I seem to have decent luck against poison when I go V-skill 2. But run in this matchup is, you know, it seems like a lot of poisons are used to punishing that. I'm not super well versed with V-skill 2, but you know, I make it work. I make it work.
Round 1. Fight.
That was a good counter. Yeah, poison is definitely a harder matchup for Ken. I'm a little tired, man. I'm recording this thing first thing in the morning.
Round 2.
Ah, man. I knew he was gonna do that. That was good. Wow. Woo, saved it.
Final round. Fight.
He's trying to DP. Damn, I'm dead. That was good shit. Dude, this Loco Bro guy has been... Dude, he needs to stop sending me invitations. This guy has been sending me invitations for like 2 years now? Or some crap, man. I don't know why he keeps doing it, man. That was well played by him.
Fight.
God damn it. Her damage potential is so fucking high, dude. Like, it's ridiculous. You can't afford to get hit by her.
Fight.
Wow, okay. Wow. He got me. Okay.
You lose.
Yeah, so I guess using that as an example, honestly though, like, if we were to keep running this set, I feel like another game I would have had his rhythm down, like, completely. He just happened to whip out the little roll side switch at a good time. So, I mean, it is what it is. You'll get caught sometimes. You will lose playing Ken. I mean, you'll lose playing anybody, but, yeah, I should definitely beat that guy when I play him again. You know, so it's a kicker for me, you know, playing Poison, because I can't make up my mind whether or not I want to use V skill 1 or 2. Alex. I think this is Alpha Glow. I play this guy a lot. Yup. He's pretty good, man. He's pretty good. Me and him tend to go back and forth. I need to be really aware of spacing with this guy too.
Round one.
He tends to control space pretty well. Ah, come on, man. Don't ask me why I do that at that range. Ah, dude. Okay, here we go.
Round two. Fight.
I jab, man. Oh my god, the spacing, dude. I didn't get my leg kick punish. Yeah, like I said, this guy's pretty good.
Round one. Fight.
Nope.
Round two. Fight. Final round. Fight.
Wow. Man, dude.
See what I mean? See, I don't talk about shit that doesn't work for me, man.
You win.
It was a nail biter, but it worked, right? It worked, right? I can tell this guy has been labbing the shit that I do with him because he's not responding to some of the previous tactics that I beat him with. He's just taking the throw. See, a Visco run right there.
Round 2. Fight.
I had it, dude. Fucking spacing. Thank you. I knew he was gonna bite eventually, man. He had to bite. Got the shimmy on him.
You win.
So, man, you know, I think I'll end the stream with that match. What I want to end it by is saying it'll take a while as a chem player to really establish, if you are somebody who wants to play aggressive. You know, learning the matchups, learning what characters do, their bread and butter combos, their mix-ups, being able to get reads on your opponent. This is something that is going to take a long time, okay? If you are new to the game, you want to play aggressive, you know, information, pay attention to what it is you're doing, pay attention to what it is your opponent's doing, you know, and exploit that. You know, I tried to give you a few tools in this video. It's very difficult to go through all the shit with one video as to what you can do to incorporate an aggressive play style, you know, but I tried to give you like the tidbits. You know, ultimately it comes down to knowledge, all right? Having knowledge of the game, having knowledge of what people typically do, being anticipatory, you know, and just taking calculated risks, because that's essentially what you're doing when you're trying to play aggressive, is you're taking calculated risks. And, you know, I'll take this to last thing that Chris T said. Just because somebody punishes something you do with a risk one time doesn't mean they're necessarily going to do it again. Maybe they just got lucky. You know, and I've held that, you know, when trying to incorporate this aggressive gameplay of mine. You know, I've always kept that thought in the forefront of my mind whenever I'm playing games. You know, don't be discouraged. Like, if they punish one Visco run, or they punish, you know, one jump in, that doesn't mean they're going to punish every Visco run and every jump in. You know what I mean? So don't let that discourage you. Like I said, this is all calculated, it's all conditioning. Sometimes it's going to take more conditioning depending on the skill level of the player to be able to do something risky than it will with other people who aren't used to your gameplay style. For example, I think that was a really key contrast, right? With that poison player, I couldn't really, in the 2 sets that we played, establish my aggressive style, which, you know, I definitely do a lot better with V-Skill 1 in place of V-Skill 2 versus the Alex player, which you saw initially, he was really blowing me up, right? But then as the match went on and I caught on to what he was doing, I was able to again incorporate my aggressive playstyle and even get him to expose some of the bad habits that he's had in some of the previous matches that we've had, right? So you'll see that guy, I can tell he's been trying to intently lab my game style. Mine specifically, we run into each other a lot, right? Me and that Alpha Glow guy. I got a lot of respect for his Alex. Don't get me twisted here. But one of the bad habits he has is teching. So I could tell at the beginning of that match, you know, he wasn't teching. I was walking back and he wasn't teching. But I know that this guy, once he starts getting panicky with my aggression, he starts teching. And you'll see what won me the match was being in that tense moment and exposing those old habits that die so hard in this game, right? So you'll see I neutral jumped, walked back, bam, bam. I knew, I had a feeling he was going to attack, and if he didn't, I would have gotten free pressure either way. But yeah, I walked back, blew him up for that tech. So, you know, incorporating an aggressive gameplay style isn't just about being, you know, blindly aggressive. It's about having the knowledge on which to, you know, found this gameplay style on. Trust me when I say, if you just constantly are coming at your opponent the whole set, you are going to lose so much, all right? It is a matter of being able to mix up your gameplay, being able to, you know what your opponent is going to do. Are they buttonsy? Are they defensive? These will all impact the choices that you're going to make as far as how you approach your rush down style, okay? So I know this video has kind of been really informal, it's been all over the place, but overall I think I'm pretty happy with the video that I'm putting out there. For a lot of you cam players who are maybe, especially the more intermediate to more advanced, kind of like my rank ultra plat players, and I beat diamond players, you know, I'm starting to beat diamond players pretty consistently here. So I think what I'm saying has some, you know, meaning to it here. It's not just blind shit. You know, so again, if you have any questions about anything I've said throughout the entirety of this video, I really wanted to throw some matches in here for the live stream because I wanted to showcase some of the shit that I do that does end up working. All right, and some of the shit that I don't do in every single matchup. You know, that's the thing. Knowledge. You know, how does your opponent play? If they're a buttonsy bison, you know, throwing out that shit again, a random ass crush counter when they think it was random, but you were actually doing it as a defensive tactic, you know, making your opponent flinch, making them think twice. It's, man, this shit is like, there's levels to it, man. There's so many psychological levels, and that's one of the reasons, last thing, that's one of the reasons why I thoroughly am addicted to fighting games, you know, because that mind match that you have to get into every time you play these games is so, you know, alluring. It's so seductive about these games, you know, and it's so frustrating but so rewarding at the same time, you know. So hopefully I helped you guys out in terms of approaching aggressive gameplay. And yeah, hopefully, you know, you guys learn from this shit. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me down below, and I'll be more than happy to try to answer. And if you want to criticize anything I've said, you know, feel free. I'm always down to learn. Like I said, take this video with a grain of salt. You know, this type of shit is not going to work for everybody. This is simply the stuff I found that works for me. So, that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, the little live lesson video. Until next time, y'all. Have a good one.